Welcome to part 3 in my series on the music of Breath of the Wild. In this video, I thought I would do a broad overview of the whole soundtrack, taking some time to point out all of the hidden references to past Zelda tunes sprinkled throughout. Oh, hold on a sec. Yeah? Oh, what's up? What? Who is Mark Brown? Who the hell is Mark Brown? Okay, welcome everybody. In this video, I thought I would do a very narrow analysis of a fairly unique addition to the game's soundtrack, Breath of the Wild's Kakariko Village theme. This is another tune that's garnered a fair bit of criticism online, which I find a little bit surprising. Seems like a bunch of people see it as breaking a streak by dropping the original Kakariko Village music and instead using a completely new theme. But if you look, the old Kakariko theme has really only been used in 4 Zelda games, and that's counting 4 Swords, which, doesn't really count. Even Twilight Princess used a completely different theme with a short quote at the beginning as kind of a subtle reference. Anyway, the cool thing about this tune is that it's based on traditional Japanese court music, reflecting the game's medieval interpretation of Kakariko Village. This kind of overt Japaneseness is unusual for the series to say the least, and rare to find in most of Nintendo's big franchises. I've talked before about how Breath of the Wild isn't afraid to break the Zelda norm in new and risky ways, and this is just another example of that. I love the reimagining of the Sheikah tribe as a ninja clan, and the Yuga clan as a rival ninja clan. I think it fits perfectly, and it's kind of a throwback to the unusual ninja-ness of Sheik's character design in Ocarina of Time. But enough about that, let's talk about the music. I should start by saying that it's not a totally pure recreation of traditional Japanese music, which tends to sound more like this. It's kind of a fusion, integrating just enough of Western musical's structure and convention for the piece to be intelligible to a modern global audience. Let's take a look at the instrumentation. The tune starts with just percussion instruments, of which there are many in Japan's musical tradition. The most recognizable ones are the taiko, or drums beat with large wooden sticks called bachi, as well as the infamous hyoshigi, which is kind of the composer's shorthand to immediately evoke this style and era. The melody is carried by the shakuhachi, a bamboo flute traditionally used in Buddhist meditation practices. The shakuhachi has kind of a raw sound to it, especially the lower ranged model, or hochiku, which shows up in the bridge to double the melody an octave below. The melody itself is based off of an E minor pentatonic scale. As you may or may not already know, pentatonic scales are a huge part of the DNA of traditional Japanese music, and they come in a lot more varieties than the typical Western major or minor pentatonic, but that's what we see used here. The bridge branches outside of this for one note, but for the most part it stays consistent with this scale. While the piece starts out lacking any sort of harmony or bass line, we are soon introduced to the Koto, an enormous stringed instrument that is actually the national instrument of Japan. Koto have 13 strings, each with a movable bridge, allowing the player to set the instrument up in different tunings to meet the needs of the piece at hand. Most of these tunings are based on different pentatonic scales common in traditional Japanese music, but strings can be adjusted to different notes partway through a piece if the player is given enough time. The strings are plucked with plectrums on one hand and can be manipulated on the other side of the bridge with the other hand to alter the pitch or use vibrato or all manner of effects like that. The Koto comes in with a 2-bar transitionary figure before this big run-up brings us back to the melody. This run gives away the fact that this can't have been recorded on a 13-string Koto, but rather probably on the slightly less common 21-string variant, since the range of this bar should be totally impossible to play on a typical 13-stringed instrument. The run is based off of the Insen scale, one of the pentatonic scales I mentioned earlier, which consists of scale degrees 1, flat 2, 4, 5, and flat 7. One thing I really like about the Koto is the fact that it's a plucked string instrument that can pull off these beautiful cluster voicings. In the B section to this piece, where it really starts picking up, the Koto rolls up these dense cluster chords that alternate between an E minor 9 and a B diminished-esque harmony. Alternating between the natural 9 and the flat 9 over the E minor pentatonic melody and bass brings a super cool, ambiguous color to the piece. It's mirrored in this cross relation in the bass between the third and fourth bars of each phrase. This solid F on the downbeat of bar 3 is undercut by the F sharp that shows up in the melody and bass line in bar 4. The second time through this B section phrase, the bass lays down a C, transforming the E minor harmony into a more complex C major 7 idea, with the Koto now alternating the natural and sharp 11ths. This is a perfect example of incorporating more modern Western harmonic ideas into a traditional Japanese-inspired piece. The piece ends forcefully on the C major sound, which feels pretty incomplete, perfect for setting up a repetition back to the top by way of our handy percussion section. I honestly think this is one of my favorite pieces on the soundtrack. It's not only beautiful, but it's also just so far outside what we usually hear in big games like this. Over the last few years, I feel like Nintendo's kind of been getting away from being a weird game company and trying to be more of a mainstream entertainment company, so details like this that show more personality and take more risks, especially in such a huge franchise, make me really excited. Well, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave what you thought about this version of Kakariko Village in the comments below. If you have any questions, feel free to tweet me at 8-Bit Music Theory, and if you want to support the channel, you can do so via my Patreon page. Patrons get some bonus rewards like early videos, copies of my transcriptions, and the chance to submit video requests, so if any of that interests you, come check it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in part 4.